Hey, how's it going, everybody? My name is Aaron J. Holt, back again with another React video. Now, before I begin, guys, I want to say Happy Pride Month, guys. Oh my gosh, you guys, I love this month, and I love the LGBTQ plus community. That being said, I gotta say, I am really bummed and frustrated by all of the hatred that has been, projected towards the LGBTQ plus community, and specifically the trans community, with all of the anti-trans bills that have been introduced all across the country. Like, I wish I knew how to, put into words just how angered I am at this whole thing, because honestly, trans people are human beings just like the rest of us, and they deserve equal rights, guys. And it's just so infuriating. And I really wish, that that I knew, that I could really put into words, just how much, that I hate this whole thing, guys. So I just want to say to the LGBTQ plus community, you are safe with me, guys. I will always be a supporter. And that's one of the reasons I love theater so much, is because theater is one of the safe places for the LGBTQ plus community. It is such a great environment. I love working with them. And, take the time to get to know them, guys, They're human beings just like the rest of us, and they deserve equal rights. I don't know why that's so hard for some people to understand. So, and I also hate, all of the companies who were targeted just because they were putting out, all the Pride merchandise, People were saying, oh, we need to boycott Target because they're, putting out all the Pride stuff, it's going to turn your kid gay. No, that's not true. If you don't want to buy the Pride merchandise, then you don't have to buy it. No one's forcing you to. Whenever I go to Walmart, I pass by the baby section, but no one's forcing me to become a parent, So, members of the LGBTQ plus community are human beings just like the rest of us. And like I said, they deserve equal rights. And, people need to stop demonizing them. Ugh. And I hate that, that some people, especially politicians, are using the whole, it's not right. The scripture tells us this and the Bible tells us that. It's like God wants us to love our neighbors, not hurt them. And that's what they're doing with these anti-trans bills. They're hurting people. So, yeah. So I just wanted to get that, off my chest right there, because it's really been bugging me this whole month. And this is a time of celebration, Get to know them, guys. They're not bad people, despite what, idiots on the internet might say. So I gotta say, with the LGBTQ plus community, you are safe with me, guys. I will always be an ally. I will always support you. All right. Well, I know that was kind of an intense intro, but we are here to do a React video. So this React video is going to be a little bit different because I was watching Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, and one of the videos I happened to watch was his report on Subway. And in the video clip, he said, when you hear Subway, the first thought, is, this man, Jared Fogle. And so now we all pretty much know the whole story about Jared Fogle, the Subway guy. For those of you who have been living under a rock for like the past 25 years, I'll give a little bit of a recap. If you don't want to hear the recap, you can just go straight to my reaction. Go to this timestamp in the video, and that'll be for when I start the reaction video. But to give like a brief recap, Jared Fogle was this really overweight guy who famously lost a lot of weight by eating Subway sandwiches. And when Subway, heard about this, they're like, oh man, this could be good for our product. So they hired Jared to be the spokesperson, and he was in commercials. He went around to schools, teaching kids about, the value of good nutritional habits. And it happened that went on for about, I don't know how much, a decade. And then just like that, it all came tumbling down because it was revealed that he was this, I'm not sure I want to say it on my channel, but we all know what he got in trouble for. I think I watched a video where someone used abbreviations in order to make it safe for their videos. So they found a bunch of what's the abbreviation for it? CP. They found a bunch of CP on his computer, and it turned out he was this major creep. So and he got this lengthy prison sentence. I think it was 15 years. Was it 15 years? I think so. But and since then he has, he's been parodied in so many things. Like most famously was in South Park, one of their video games. I just remember seeing reaction videos from so many gamers when, Jared comes out, and the music's like, he's still looking good, eating Subway sandwiches. So, but today's react video, I wanted to, I wanted to learn the whole story because I know the gist of it, but I want to know more details. And so the video that I'll be reacting to is whatever happened to Jared Fogle, the Subway guy. It was uploaded by Vince Vintage 1 year ago and has 4.8 million views as of this video, guys. Wow. So I'm assuming that it will start with Jared first, I don't even know what to say here. I'm tongue-tied, see? So I'm assuming that it will start with Jared starting to eat Subway sandwiches to lose weight, and that it will end with him, getting sent to prison. So, yeah, let's get into detail. Let's find out what's going on. So, all right, let's get to reacting. Full screen, please. Thank you. All right, here we go. In 3, 2, 1, action.
Here is Jared Fogle. You may have seen him on the news or a talk show. He was inspired by Subway's great-tasting sandwiches. Jared believes in an active lifestyle, including lots of walking. At the heart of Jared's routine are Subway sandwiches.
Hey, Jared.
Remember Jared from Subway?
At Subway, you can choose from 7 sandwiches with 6 grams of fat or less, and they all taste great. Food for thought.
Jared had the cream of the crop opportunity. All he had to do was just stand there, smile, hold up those big-ass monster pants, but he couldn't even do that. Jared ended his career the same way he started it, trying to get into smaller pants. Today we're talking about the rise and fall of Jared Fogle.
Yeah.
We're talking about some very disturbing content today.
Yes, we are, Dr. Phil. Oh, boy. Ugh.
Now, Jared Fogle was born in Indianapolis, Indiana in 1977. And like any kid at the time, he loved video games. So much so that he would sit there for hours playing his Nintendo, eating chips and sweets, and just being lazy. And it got to the point where when he attended Indiana University, he weighed an impressive 425 pounds. Now, on an average day, Jared would drink up to 15 cans of soda while also inhaling 10,000 calories. Jared was unable to walk around campus.
Looks kind of like Dennis Nedry from Jurassic Park.
So as a New Year's resolution, Jared was going to lose some weight and choose to start eating right at Subway. Because, as he put it, he lived 10 steps away from the nearest Subway. He started eating his 2 sandwiches a day, exercising a bit more, and surprisingly, within 11 months, he had actually lost 245 pounds. He literally became half the man he was, losing more than half of his body weight. Now, people started to notice Jared's insane weight loss, and one of his roommates wrote a piece about him that landed Jared on the front page of the school newspaper in April 1999. And then miraculously, Men's Health picked up the story and headlined Jared in an article called Stupid Diets That Work. And from that point, the Jared diet became a phenomenon. Now, executives at Subway caught wind of the story, and they saw dollar signs within the Jared diet. So right out of school, at 22 years old, Subway struck a deal with Jared that would change his life forever. They were going to pay him $1.1 million a year to be the celebrity endorser for Subway. So they started out with an ad campaign talking about his weight loss and his whole journey, and the first one with the Jared diet premiered in early 2000. Now these early ads just showed Jared as the everyday Joe.
Hi, Jared here.
Just trying to eat healthy.
Jared.
More meat.
Eating his 2 sandwiches a day. Super relatable.
Subway. Eat fresh.
And then at the very end, he would hold up those famous size 60 pants. Now, he was in more than 300 Subway commercials.
Hi.
Really?
Hey there. Hi, I'm Jared.
300?
Subway guy. Just Jared's fine. And this is my story.
Wrote an autobiography, even wrote a children's book, that's not going to be weird in the future,
Oh,
and
yeah.
he became a motivational speaker, pulling in tens of thousands of dollars for an appearance. Jared, he had become a multi-millionaire before the age of 25. Now, I can't understate how much Jared had a cultural impact. He was grand marshalling NASCAR races, Jimmy
Jeez.
Fallon played him in an SNL parody skit, and he carried the 2002 Olympic torch through Indiana, and he was the centerpiece of a South Park episode.
Well, eating sub sandwiches
Yeah.
was a big part of it. But the way that I lost so much weight was that I got AIDS.
I remember that episode.
And Jared, who had been kind of a
Yeah.
loser and never had a date before in his life, had gotten hitched to a pediatric nurse and was in a happy, dependable, loving marriage. It wasn't all roses, though. There were some criticisms. It was discovered by doctors and nutritionists that the Jared diet was actually just a 1,000-calorie-a-day diet.
I'm on the Subway diet, and she just orders whatever she wants from Subway whenever she feels like it. It doesn't work that way.
AKA starving yourself to death. So Subway then
That's not a
legally
good
had
thing.
to put disclaimers.
I've tried
all
that
of their
before, and
ads
let me tell
stating,
you,
talk to a doctor
no
first.
way.
Then they had an issue a statement saying that Subway didn't even endorse the Jared diet because he was literally just eating 2 6-inch subs a day, skipping breakfast, working out. Now for Subway, this was insane. They were going to base their entire brand identity on some random guy from Indiana who had some weight loss story eating their sandwiches. What could go wrong? What could go wrong?
Delicious. But you can't do it all the time.
But to Subway, this was a great idea at the time. Just within 10 years of Jared being there, he had tripled Subway's yearly revenue from $3.1 billion to $11.4 billion. Or as the chief marketing officer of Subway said, Jared is woven into the fabric of the brand and is an essential part of the family.
All right.
That's not going to come back to bite him in the ass.
Oh boy. Hide your kids.
What a great fit for Subway and to team up with Little League and with these kids that are so impressionable early on in their life.
People to do is to go on the internet, go to subwaykids.com. Subwaykids.com. There's a link on there. You can
Tritz
start
balls.
bidding
Oh
on
my
these balls.
gosh.
The more you're around Little League, the more you're impressed with the things they're doing with these younger kids.
I may be on my hands and knees. Subway.
Now with Jared's fame and fortune, he wanted to give back to the community. So he started a foundation in 2004 to fight childhood obesity, where they would go in the elementary schools and high schools and educate children on eating fresh.
In 2004, Fogle established the Jared Foundation, an organization aimed at eliminating childhood obesity. In 2006, RTV6 interviewed Fogle as he hosted a charity outing with Hoosier children, the Boys and Girls Club of Indianapolis calling him a role model.
And honestly, it's a pretty worthy cause, helping kids get healthy, and who would really know better than Jared, the guy that lost 245 pounds. Jared was then
His smile is so
traveling to
disturbing.
hundreds of
Ugh.
elementary schools a year, showing off those size 60 jeans, wowing children across the nation, making visits from the foundation on Oprah.
I've seen
the
clips
Today
where,
Show,
you know,
the
he
Super Bowl.
shows the
Jared even
pants,
said at this
and the
time,
kids are
"I'm
like,
surprised my 15 minutes
wow."
of fame aren't up yet." And again, with the foundation, it wasn't really what it was cracked up to be. The whole foundation really was more of an image enhancement for Jared, judging from their spending. The charity raised $650,000 between 2008 and 2013, but it only just donated $145,000 to fight obesity in that same time period. The foundation paid more out to its director than it did actually spending promoting the health of children. So sure, celebrity makes some scammy charity to just promote their own image. What is new, really? But what the foundation did do was this put Jared in a position where he could have access to children. At this point in Jared's life, he was on top of the world, the talk of the town, had millions of dollars. So Jared started to indulge himself. He started having some affairs outside of his marriage. You had one woman, Rochelle, who he met through a radio interview, and they would go on these romantic getaways. Then there was Subway store owners, Jared groupies, all who he was hooking up with. And Jared was living the high life until...
Chapter 3.
is going to be one of the watershed days in financial markets history.
Now, 2007 was a pretty bad year for Jared. He had the recession, the economy
I remember
crashing,
that recession.
and Subway was
I
kind
was
of
in,
feeling that
I was
this
just
little
entering my
Jared
senior
story
year of
was
high
pretty
school
played
then.
out. They had done it for almost a decade at this point. So they decided to go in a new advertising direction. Jared could still remain visible on the whole touring circuit and whatnot, but the TV commercials, they'd be gone in favor of Subway's new famous
Oh, the $5 footlong. $5 footlong.
$5 footlong ad. Now, cracks really started the show at this point. That happy marriage he had, it was really a sham. His wife actually fled the marriage after 5 years. And
Wait a minute, is
even
that from Jack and
filed
Jill?
a restraining order against Jared, saying that he had become controlling and had a mean streak in him. Interesting enough, when his wife filed for the divorce, the reason she gave was that the marriage was irretrievably broken, maybe from the affairs or something else. Now, with the divorce, Subway changing their advertising, Jared had a lot more free time on his hands. You know what they say, idle hands are the devil's playthings. So Jared started taking more business trips to get himself active for the foundation. Now he was doing hundreds of these elementary school presentations across the United States.
Hey, it's Angie with News OK. I am here at Tinker Elementary with Jared from Subway. He does have a last name, but we love just saying Jared from Subway. Anyway, he is here at Tinker Elementary to chat with the kids. Tell us what you're doing with the kids.
You know, one of my big passions is getting to kids and speaking to them, obviously, about my story a little bit. And
there was one kid
the day before one
in the audience when it was doing that
Jared's at a
wide
bar,
pan
and he
shot.
meets this guy named
He was just like
Russ
this.
Taylor. They start shooting the shit, getting to know each other.
Meanwhile, his
And, you know,
buddy
it
is
was
next to
nice
him
for
going,
Jared. He'd always
"Hey!"
do these trips solo, so it was, you know, refreshing to have some company alongside. And this Taylor guy, he really took a liking to him. He had a wife, he had 2 kids, and Taylor was already working for a children's nonprofit. So Jared invited him out to dinner and asked them for help on writing a speech that he had to give the next day. So Taylor agreed, helped him write the speech. Jared gave the speech. It was a smashing success. Everyone was clapping. And just the day after, Jared came up to Taylor and asked him for more help and told him that he would make it worth his while. And it wasn't too long before Jared asked Taylor to come with them on dozens of these foundation trips. So one time, they went to the Patriots playoff game. They took a first-class flight out there. They had a $3,000 night suite at the Hilton. And then after the game, the two headed to a strip club where they got into the Champagne Poppy room.
Too turned up. Virgil got a paddock on my wrist going nuts.
And then Jailer asked Taylor, if you can convince that stripper to come back to our hotel room, I will pay you. And like a good friend, Taylor brought that stripper back to the room where Jared and him had sex with her. And that began her 12-year run. That's what Taylor said in his court-ordered psychological report linked below. Now, with Taylor helping out with the Fogle Foundation, Jared actually hired him and promoted him to the executive head of the foundation. And that point, the two became inseparable. Now they were traveling across the country and even the world, going to schools, giving these healthy eating presentations, the children all around the earth.
People are always fascinated to see the pants. It's a great visual aid, and especially when I'm talking to kids. You know, I speak to children all over the country and actually all over the world now.
Thailand, Japan, Indonesia, and how could I forget? During the night, they would party their faces off and get prostitutes to sleep with. And then once they found out they weren't law enforcement, they would then ask them if they had any underage escorts available, which then they would do their thing with. Now, with these two out in the town going on these trips, Taylor got a bit paranoid about people stealing stuff from the Fogle Foundation office. So in an effort to avoid anything
Should have been
happening,
paranoid
he
about
started
something
placing
else.
hidden cameras around the office. So they come back from a trip, and the first thing Taylor does is he reviews some of the video on the camera. And what he found shocked him. He had captured the underage intern and her boyfriend having sex in the office. Now, Taylor brought this up to Jared to possibly maybe reprimand this girl, but Jared wants to see the tape in full. And while he was showing this video, Jared actually pushed them to set up more hidden cameras around the office and into children's bathrooms. And at first, Taylor thought maybe this was some weird joke. Now, Taylor brushes it off, and a couple of months go by at this point. Now, Jared started buying Taylor a lot more things. He bought him a home that Taylor lived in for free, bought him a Mercedes-Benz, paid for all of his family's expenses. Now, what he was putting Taylor in is what's called golden handcuffs. Now, months later, Jared comes up to Taylor and asks him again if he'll place these hidden cameras. And he reminded him that this is from the court documents. Jared Fogle literally said this to Taylor, "Daddy is paying for your things." Jared Fogle called himself Daddy. So locked in these golden handcuffs, Taylor would become the Ghislaine Maxwell to Jared Fogle.
Jeez.
The fall guy, the dirty guy, to do all of the dirty business. So Taylor then started placing these hidden clock camera radios in children's bedrooms across the city. And they were capturing photos and videos of children ages 6 to 12.
How did he even gain access to those places?
Naked. Now let me be clear, they weren't
How?
taking any videos of any acts being performed on the children. It was just the
How did
kids
he gain
being
access
nude
to
while
those
changing
children's
their clothes.
bedrooms?
And this is an important point for the end of the video when we go into the court case. Now Taylor didn't show any of these to anyone but Jared. Their program would work where Taylor would go around, collect all the photos and videos, review them for the best ones, put them onto a laptop, give that laptop to Jared for him to only bring it back a week later. Now I'm not kidding, this is from the court-ordered psychological report. Jared Fogle would say, "Daddy needs some pictures." Now, once this operation was underway, Jared started upping the ante. He wanted better quality videos and photos, so he started purchasing professional spy equipment. Taylor would then start placing across children's bedrooms across the city.
How do you gain access to children's bedrooms?
Now, it's a couple years later, it's 2010.
Jeez.
Jared, in an attempt to maybe slow down, finds a adult woman that he gets married to in 2010. Now, maybe this whole underage escorts and depravities would go away. No. The temptation was still there for Jared. Even with him getting all of the CP from their hidden camera racket, he still wanted more victims to add to his collection. So remember Rochelle, that late night radio host he was hooking up with? So even with this new second wife, Jared was still having an affair with her. So she became suspicious of Jared one day.
He told me that he thought that middle school girls were so hot.
Saying how middle school girls attractive. And this shocked Rochelle to her core.
Yeah.
So she ended up baiting him along a little bit further and started recording it, seeing what she could get out of him. I can't actually play the actual audio because it is copyrighted, but I will link it below. But honestly, it's nothing super crazy. I'm gonna read it right now. I like all ages, that's the thing. I mean, it depends. Who was ready for what, you know? Who's gonna give you the glance? So Rochelle amassed years worth of these recordings of Jared saying this. And Rochelle finally reached the breaking point when Fogle mentioned her 2 young children. And he asked her, what if we put a camera in your kid's room? Would they be okay with that? Would you rather have it in your son or your daughter's room? Which one do you think would be better? Now remember, she was sleeping with Jared this whole time and knew this, that he was into underage people. But that last part, that was
a
the
major
tipping
red
point.
flag.
Other kids, that's fine. But her kids, out of line. So Rochelle filed a serious complaint with the FBI in 2011, though the FBI couldn't do much about it because it's audio evidence. There wasn't actually enough to even put him behind bars, convict him, or even get a search warrant. Now, in multiple interviews, Rochelle has claimed that she was the woman that brought down Jared Fogle and that the FBI used her as an informant and that she wore a wire and took him down. Well, I find that hard to believe because, number one, the FBI has not confirmed any of these recordings. Number two, they weren't actually used in the court case. And number three, why would the FBI put a wire on her for years, record all this stuff, and then not do anything about it until way later in the future? Like we're talking 7 years. Makes no sense.
If you had gotten the footage, you know, you would have come forward with it
Russell
immediately.
Taylor
I mean,
and his
you wouldn't
wife
just keep
lived
it for
alternative
years.
lifestyles. They were swingers. Basically, people who would have sex with other people outside the marriage and also within orgies. Now, Taylor had sex with several of his guy friends, girlfriends, and his neighbors. Now, one of the women from Taylor's neighborhood orgies, we will call her Jane Doe from the court documents. So their friendship took a disturbing turn in 2014 when Taylor, who often talked to her sexually and friendly over texting, went over the line. Russell Taylor offered to send this Jane Doe images of CP. This was
okay, so it is
her, right?
abbreviated as CP.
So Jane Doe made a call to the police, and a report from there was passed off to the cybercrime unit detectives, and an investigation was launched in 2014 into Russell Taylor. So on the basis of all these texts, the police had enough to execute a search warrant on Taylor's. So
I've seen that. I've seen that footage. I've seen that. You know,
what they found
SWAT team
was
footage
so
of them.
Disturbing. I'm not even going to get into it, but it was terabytes and it was equipment. So once in custody with the evidence they had, this seemed like an open and shut case, really. Except when Taylor told the police a story that they didn't even believe. All of these videos, all of this equipment, it wasn't for him. It was for his boss, Jared Fogle, the spokesperson for Subway. Now, quietly behind the scenes, the police started to look into this further, and they started finding little bits of threads that were leading back to Jared. Now, on the outside, though, every news outlet picked up the story. Head guy of Jared Fogle's foundation distributing CP. And Jared came out publicly as shocked and put out a statement saying,
well, of course he has to be like, you know, oh, I had nothing to do with this.
Jared continued to post his diet tips on Twitter,
of course he doesn't want to
posting
get in
up
trouble.
updates on Facebook, living as if nothing would happen to him, because that was the plan. Russell Taylor was always meant to be the fall guy.
No one's untouchable.
These guys continue to fall for it every single time. There must be like 100 million episodes of the show, and these guys still come out.
Now, 32 days after the raid on Russell Taylor's house in July 2015 at 6 a.m., investigators raided Jared's home with one of the top mobile cyber forensic teams in the country. So they had police dogs that had the ability to sniff out for hidden thumb drives in the walls.
But Bear is
Really?
anything but your typical family dog.
He can sniff out SD cards, thumb drives, external hard drives, iPads, micro SD cards.
And they found two of them hidden at Jared's house.
You've heard of drug sniffing dogs. Here's
now Subway immediately dropped
flash
him.
drive
Sharknado
dogs.
3, which he was going to be in, they dropped him. His wife divorced him. And of course, once this ugly truth came out, people were not only quick to denounce Fogle, but they grew skeptical of Subway. Like, how could no one have known this? So Jared had been making incredibly creepy comments for a while to a lot of people.
The
if
lighting
he talks so
is
openly with
still
Rochelle,
bad.
it's really no surprise he did this with other people too. So
Let's
back
see.
in 04,
Let
Subway
me see if I
senior
can-
vice president of marketing received a complaint about Fogle that he had tried to solicit an underage girl at a Las Vegas promo event. Then in 2008, a Florida Subway franchisee warned the then CEO of Subway, Jeff Moody, about Jared making disturbing comments about kids. But Moody apparently said, quote, there was nothing that implied any sexual behavior about Jared Fogle. Now that Florida franchisee owner, Cindy Mills, well, Jared was having an affair with her as well, and said that once they got intimate, Jared would text her about possibly trying to have sex with the 16-year-old. And now what would Subway executives think when they heard that? Now these messages he sent to her, I'm not even going to get into.
How do those red flags
Jared
not
was
raise
roughly
even
asking
bigger
to
red
meet
flags
up with
there?
her underage cousin at the time, bragging about how he would constantly pay underage call girls across the world for sexual acts. I mean, then Jared's second wife, the new one, claims that Subway actually were aware of some of these reports of against them. Despite receiving tips that Fogle solicited children, they still sent him into elementary schools across the country as a part of their marketing. And Katie even claims that
that's
Subway
not a
even
bad
hid
idea at
these
all.
allegations from her because they thought that the marriage would keep Fogle grounded. Now, Jared was arrested and charged after the raid and pled guilty to the allegations that he had paid for sexual acts with children and receiving CP. Now, Russell Taylor, he pled guilty in a plea agreement for giving evidence and testimony to helping convict Jared. Now, Taylor was supposed to get originally 35 years, but with this plea agreement, it came down to 27 years for producing and distributing CP, which are huge charges. Now, Jared had a $15 million fortune that would be wiped out, paying for the $1.4 million restitution to the 14 victims in the case. His second wife would take $7 million in the divorce in November 2015, and he was sentenced to 15 years in prison, where he will serve 13 years before parole. And Jared could
15
be
years
free
in prison.
again as soon as 2028. And during his sentencing, Jared lowered his head, cried his eyes out, waved goodbye to his family members, and was whisked off
putting
to
out
prison in
Subway
Wilton,
sandwiches.
Colorado, where they primarily deal
Oh my
with
gosh.
offenders. Now, Fogle's got various pen pals in prison. One of the letters states that, oh, I want to see your photos. You look so hot in these. Those pictures made me smile so much. Now, besides the pen pals, it hasn't been
That's
that
creepy.
well at the prison. He's been beaten up a ton, and I can't say I feel too bad for him. If he's free in a century, that would be far too soon. Now, there's still many unanswered questions about this whole thing. What about the dozens of unaccounted victims that Jared had bragged about to Rochelle and Cindy Mills? Did Subway really know about any of this? Like, why did this take so long for informants to come forward with this? Why did the FBI not look further when they first got audio recordings? So recently, the saga has come up in the news again as of March 2020. So Russell Taylor, the guy, had 3 of his CP convictions overturned by a judge. So remember when I made that point about there only being photos that he took of children while changing their clothes? So 3 of the exploitation charges that he admitted to involved hidden camera images of young male
Again,
relatives of
how
his
did he
that
get,
didn't
you know,
involve the
access to children's
explicit
bedrooms to
conduct
put those
necessary for
cameras
criminal
in?
charges. So because he admitted
Jeez.
to that, it ruined the guilty plea, the proceedings, and the sentencing
Just
for Russell
creepy.
Taylor, and could also change the case for Jared Fogle now. So now there's already going to be a new trial set for Russell Taylor on the remaining 10 felony charges. Both of them are still in prison at this time.
Conclusion.
The story of Jared Fogle and Russell Taylor
Yep.
is one of the most disgusting stories I have seen in a long time. You had an entire sham foundation set up to just take advantage of underage children who cannot consent to anything being done to them. It is the absolute lowest of the low. And I think with this new court case with Russell Taylor, I hope that he gets the same sentence that he did before, if not worse, even with these 3 charges being dropped. Now, Jared Fogle's rise and fall is almost a work of fiction. An everyday Joe picked from normal life because of a simple weight loss story. His entire career that he was paid millions for was just to retell that story again and again. Now, if there's anything to be taken out of this video, is that even people that seem perfect in the public's eye could also do the most despicable things when nobody's watching. Now, thank you so much for watching this video about 2 of the most disgusting human beings I have read about in a very long time. Make sure to follow me on Twitter. Peace.
All right. Well, yeah. So, yeah, like I said before, I knew of the gist of what Jared had done. There were, like, some details that I had no idea about, like, you know, his foundation being a total sham, and also, like I said, you know, several times throughout the React video, placing, you know, hidden cams in children's bedrooms and, you know, filming them while they were changing clothes. I mean, that is just disgusting. And like I've said throughout the video, like, how did he gain access to these children's bedrooms in order to place these cams and mics? You know, it's just, ooh. And it said that, what was it? That he could be released in 2028. So 5 years from now, guys. Oof. But yeah, it's just totally creepy. And I remember back when, like, you know, he was doing like his Subway sandwich commercials, like one that I specifically remember is when he was wearing that fat suit and he was, like, you know, taking off like the fat suit to, you know, to demonstrate how heavy he used to be before he lost all that weight. And of course, I always remember like those huge jeans. And he never came to the school that, you know, I attended, and I'm really glad of that, you know. But it's just, oh, just so creepy. And honestly, I hope that, you know, Jared gets the help he needs, because seriously, he's got issues and he really needs help. So I'm really hoping that, you know, that by the time he gets out, that hopefully he'll be a changed man. But, you know, well, I guess we'll have to see, right? Don't hold your breath. So, but, oof. But yeah, like I said, I was inspired to react to this video because I had watched the John Oliver episode where he was talking about Subway, and he's like, you know, he showed a clip where Jared's telling the kids, you know, you need to make good, healthy decisions so you'll never end up in Jared's old pair of pants. And John Oliver says, yes, that's right, kids. Make sure you stay out of Jared's pants. Nothing good happens in there. But yeah, like, now that I have more of a complete image of what, you know, the whole story is, man, like they said, it's almost as if it's a work of fiction, but it's not, you know. And like I said, the South Park in particular has parodied the heck out of him, like in the video game where he shows up and he's like, hey kids, you want some candy? And Cartman's like, oh, it's Jared. And then the police guy is like, you know, you'll excuse me if I don't want to watch this. But yeah, and honestly, his smile is, oh, so creepy. He's like, I don't know how he does it. Like, you know, how does he do it? And he always looks like he's wearing lipstick or something. It's just so creepy. Oh, man. It's just, oof. And like I said before, how did he even gain access to those children's bedrooms? And, you know, how was all of that, you know, saying like, you know, he found like 16-year-old girls attractive? How did that not raise, you know, enough red flags to be like, okay, we need to find out what's going on here? So it's like, oof, just no. Just no. Stupid cord. But yeah, this was quite the thing to react to, so I better find, like... something more fun to react to next time, right? Yeah. Alright, well, that being said, I'm going to end this video here. So, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, be sure to give it a... Oh, I'm so tongue-tied these days. Let me try the outro again. So, I'm going to end this... I am really out of it. It is one of those days. Oh my gosh. Okay. Third time's the charm. Let's see if I can do this correctly. 3, 2, 1. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. Let me know down in the comments below how you think I'm doing, what other videos you want me to react to. Just remember, please keep the comments kind. Also, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified about my latest videos. Thanks again so much for watching, you guys, and I'll see you all in the next video. Roll the outro!